Hello everyone, and welcome to Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Paul Larson, co-hosting this episode with Tom Halleck. Some North Country residents now know the feeling of uncertainty when it comes to putting food on the table. On November 1st, the White House froze SNAP payments as part of a record-long government shutdown. SNAP, standing for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is a federal initiative providing food benefits to low-income families. Even though the federal government has reopened, many North Country families have already been forced to turn to food banks and other charities to feed themselves and their children. Our producer, Michael Hansen, has the story.
As we all know, at the end of October, federal appropriations for the SNAP program, as well as other programs like WIC and HEAP, were cut. They're no longer appropriated due to the government shutdown. So what we've seen is the lack of SNAP benefits hitting accounts for all of our families in this region, but also nationwide. SNAP and WIC and HEAP are all connected, right? There's a lot of discussion around the lack of SNAP benefits, but when it comes down to it, this is going to force Adirondackers, North Country residents to make very difficult decisions between putting food on their table for their children, for their parents, for their communities, and heating their houses. We're approaching winter, there's snow on the ground. We need to start thinking about how the lack of this social safety net is really going to cut in our livelihoods, and that the connections across WIC, across SNAP, across HEAP is going to be felt across our communities in terms of our social connection, but also our economics. Now, in the history of the program, an 80-year program at this point, this is the first federal government shutdown that SNAP benefits have went empty, right? Previous administrations, previous shutdowns, the administrations have funded this program, but that is not the case this year. The government has not sought to fund this program nor pay salaries for furloughed workers. So in New York State, there's about just under 3 million individuals who receive SNAP, so about 2.9 million. Looking at the total population of New York State and on a national level, that's about 15% of the population receives SNAP benefits. In the North Country in particular, we're seeing about 52,000 households who have not received their SNAP benefits or their HEAP benefits or their WIC benefits. Specifically, if we look at a smaller subset of that, looking at the region we're in Essex County at the moment, Essex and Clinton County, that's about 30,000 individuals who have not received their SNAP benefits this month. And that's just a small portion of our Adirondack region, and that doesn't include our west or our southern parts of the area. So we are seeing longer lines at food pantries. There's one food pantry in Essex County here was talking about on a daily basis, they were seeing about 10 to 15 households, and that has since jumped to about 40 to 50 individuals. We're seeing lines of cars at emergency distribution sites that goes miles in some cases. Many pantries who are already reporting up until this point 40 to 50% increase in numbers are tripling or quadrupling that amount of attendees at their regular services. It's estimated between 40 and 50% of people on SNAP actually are working, whether it be seasonally or part-time or in retail, or manufacturing jobs that just don't pay enough to make ends meet, right? So that's a significant portion of our SNAP recipients. 30% of our SNAP recipients are elderly, over the age of 60, right? 18 to 20% are children, right? And about 14 to 15% are disabled. So these are big numbers when it comes to thinking about who is not receiving SNAP this month, and it's a lot of those communities that need our social safety nets. And I think what has been really heartening over the last few weeks is how the community has stepped up in miraculous ways. So I think a lot of individuals have really come through, whether it's creating small food pantries in their yards to the organization. So yeah, we're at Cray Garden at the moment, and they've stepped up right outside these doors. There's a free fridge full of food that is being emptied out regularly but refilled, and it's open to anybody, no questions asked. Thinking about other entities across the region as well, CC, Cornell Cooperative Extension, Essex County, working to create a platform for individuals to donate to all food pantries. Other organizations, JCEO, the Regional Food Bank, Comfort Food Community, North Country Ministry throughout the region have really stepped up their operations to fill that important gap, more distributions, more food. And this community has really come together in such an enlightening way to fill these gaps. But with that caveat, it is no charity, no food bank can really replace SNAP. Nothing we can do on the food pantry level as we think about the SNAP program will replace this lifeline. The one thing I think people don't understand about SNAP is that there's a direct local economic impact for dollars spent. So for every $1 of benefits issued in New York State, it's $1.54 is returned to the local economy. So that's a huge difference. And you're saying, well, 54 cents doesn't really matter. But sure, on the small scale, but when we factor in all of the benefits issued and all of the return, in the New York 21st Congressional District, that is about $300 million on an annual basis.